success, waiting our opportunity to become champion, and this is something that at the moment is the main goal.
Fernando Alonso needs no introduction. The living legend of Formula One has been in the sport for a while now and is one of the most recognizable figures out there. In this video, we'll take you on a wild ride through the exhilarating life of one of the greatest Formula One drivers of all time. Prepare to be amazed by the story of a living legend as we uncover the untold tales of his humble beginnings and his childhood, and whether the level of support he received from his parents in pursuing his dreams was enough. How did he rise to stardom, achieve his incredible successes on the racetrack, and 2 world championships? We will be shedding light on his off-track lifestyle, including the controversies that have made headlines and the jaw-dropping comments made by others in the industry. And let's not forget about his future in the sport. We'll be giving you an inside look at what's next for this racing superstar. We're about to embark on an adrenaline-fueled journey with none other than Fernando Alonso. This will be a ride like no other, so watch until the end. Let's go! Fernando Alonso Diaz, a racing driver who rose to fame against all odds, was born on the 29th of July 1981 in Oviedo, Spain. Despite having limited financial resources, Alonso's passion for racing was supported by his parents, who made numerous sacrifices to help him succeed. He inherited his love for cars and racing from his father, who back in the day was an amateur kart racer himself. Alonso's father, Jose Luis Alonso, was a factory worker, and his mother, Ana Diaz, was a department store employee. Despite not having the funds, they were extremely supportive of their son's passion for racing, and did everything they could to encourage him. As Alonso's talent and dedication became more evident, his parents started to make even greater sacrifices to support his racing career. They often travelled long distances to take him to races, and his mother eventually had to give up her job to take care of him and his younger sister. When he was young, Fernando participated in karting competitions in Spain and won many trophies. He won all 8 races in the first series he entered in 1988. His victories ensured sponsors and funds, and he won consecutive Spanish championships in the junior category for 4 years in a row, from 1993 to 1996, while also winning the Junior World Cup in 1996. Later, he won the Spanish Interrail title. However, not everyone was supportive of Alonso's dream to become a racing driver. His teachers, for example, were not pleased with the amount of time he spent racing and often criticized him for it. In the end, he was expelled from school when he was 19 for skipping classes to participate in karting events. Despite these challenges, Alonso's talent and determination paid off. He quickly rose through the ranks of karting. He won his first championship at the age of 14. Still, his success did not come without setbacks. One of the biggest challenges he faced during his karting career was a lack of financial resources, and because of this, he was unable to compete in some races. In 1993, he won the Spanish karting championship with the Genie Kart team. 2 years later, he finished 3rd in the World Championships and won the Junior World Championship in 1996. That year, he was spotted by former Formula One driver Adrian Campos. It was Campos that gave Alonso his first test in a racing car. Fernando Alonso was signed by Adrian Campos in 1998 to compete in the 1999 Spanish Euro Open. He won the championship by a whisker and set a record. He moved up to Formula 3000, a stepping stone to Formula One. He ended up 4th in the season. He tested with Minardi MO1 and MO2 to enter Formula One. He eventually landed a spot on the Benetton team under the guidance of Flavio Briatore. When Fernando Alonso joined F1, it was a wild ride. Despite facing setbacks such as having to leave Minardi due to a team takeover, he elbowed his way onto the Benetton team, thanks to Flavio Briatore's guidance. Minardi won the race against time to get ready for the 2001 season, and Alonso and Tasso Marquez drove in their first Grand Prix race together. Marquez had already competed in 12 Grand Prix races before, but Alonso beat him in the first qualifying run of the year. Alonso got the 19th spot on the grid, passing faster cars driven by Gaston Mazecan and Luis Arnaud Berti, and after also beating Marquez by 2.6 seconds, he set the tone for the rest of the year. But the PS01 just wasn't fast enough to let Alonso show off his skills during the race. After traction control was put back into use early in the season, the team's dependability went down. Alonso's lightning-fast skills were on full display when he left both Benetton cars in the dust and qualified 18th in Imola and again at the A1 ring. Despite facing challenges, such as the incident where Nigel Mansell's car collided with his two-seater Minardi at a fans' day at Donington Park, Alonso remained resilient and pushed forward. During the event, Mansell's 1992 World Champion car hit Alonso's car, which was carrying ITV F1 host Louise Goodman with businessman Jonathan Frost, causing Mansell's Minardi to go up in the air after the crash. The last race of 2001 was at Suzuka, known as one of the most difficult tracks. Alonso had never driven there before. He delivered an outstanding performance as he qualified 18th and finished 11th, beating Heinz-Harald Frenzen's Ferrari-powered Prost, Olivier Panis's Bar Honda, both Arrows, and his new teammate Alex Yoong.
Not at all, because it's the first race is very important, but it's a normal race in my life.
What are you hoping to achieve today?
I don't know. I hope that if we can finish the race, it's a success for us, because the car is completely new. We don't know if we can do it, but we try.
Best of luck. Thanks very much.
Let's fast forward to 2002, when Flavio Briatore had his eyes set on replacing Jenson Button with none other than Alonso at Benetton. Why? Well, Button didn't quite live up to his teammate Giancarlo Fisichella's performance in 2001. But Button held on to his seat. Fisichella switched places with Jarno Trulli, and Briatore put Alonso in charge of testing. After a year of testing and completing a remarkable 1,642 laps at Silverstone, Valencia, Jerez and Catalunya, Alonso made the most of his opportunity and replaced Button on the Renault race team for 2003. And he did not disappoint. At the second race of the season in Malaysia, he stunned the world by becoming the youngest driver to ever win the pole position. But he didn't stop there. In Hungary, he became the youngest person to win a Grand Prix, beating none other than the eventual champion Michael Schumacher. In his very first year driving a competitive car, he finished 6th with 55 points, a whopping 22 points ahead of his teammate Trulli. The rest, as they say, is history. We should also mention here that in 2003, Alonso narrowly avoided a serious accident during the Malaysian Grand Prix, when a loose tyre from another car bounced off the track and hit his helmet, but luckily he went through it unscathed. As the Ferrari team reigned supreme in the 2004 season, Alonso's chances of securing a victory dwindled. Yet a glimmer of hope emerged at Monte Carlo, only to be snatched away by an unexpected contender, Trulli, his Renault teammate. With a stunning performance from pole position, Trulli claimed a faultless victory, while Alonso's hopes were dashed when he crashed in the tunnel while lapping Ralf Schumacher. However, fate had a different plan for Alonso. Before the end of 2004, Trulli was out, and Fisichella returned to Renault for the 2005 season. The year 2005 proved to be amazing for Alonso, as Ferrari struggled, allowing Renault's R25 to take their place. In his pursuit of the championship and dominance over his new teammate, Alonso was ruthless. Fisichella won the first race at Melbourne, but Alonso climbed from 13th to 3rd place, despite rain slowing him down on his qualifying run. The rest of the season saw Alonso's 7 wins and ultimately his first championship. Although Kimi Raikkonen's McLaren often had more speed than Alonso's Renault, the latter's greater reliability and consistent pace caused Raikkonen to make costly mistakes that cost him races, making Alonso a deserving champion. It's worth noting that Alonso's title came in a year when Ferrari and Schumacher suffered from a lot of bad luck, due in part to tyre change rules. In 2006, Schumacher's resurgence and Alonso's move to McLaren set up a different challenge. Nonetheless, Alonso's decision to leave Renault for McLaren in 2007 came as a surprise. As Fernando approached his second championship season, he knew it would be his last one with Renault. Before Schumacher made his dramatic comeback in the middle of the season, it was Fernando himself who dominated the early races with unmatched skill and speed. The two drivers fought for the title until the last race in a tense and often controversial fight that could not have been written better. After 9 races, Alonso had already earned an incredible 84 out of a possible 90 points, even more than Schumacher's most dominant season in 2004. But Ferrari wasn't going to let Alonso have it easy. They came back with a new aerodynamic package, better Bridgestone tyres, and a driver who had decided to retire at the end of the season and was eager to take the championship with him. To make matters worse, the innovative mass damper system from Renault was banned, giving Ferrari a crucial advantage. Then, at Monza, Alonso was hit with a harsh penalty for allegedly blocking Schumacher's teammate Felipe Massa. Furious and disillusioned, Alonso told the press, "I no longer think of F1 as a sport." Meanwhile, Schumacher went on to win the race and announced that he was going to retire. Alonso pushed his Renault to its absolute limit, but the engine finally gave out, forcing him to drop out of the race and watch as his championship hopes slipped away. At the Japanese Grand Prix, Bridgestone appeared to have gained a significant advantage in qualifying, as both Ferraris and Toyotas were ahead of Alonso. Despite this setback, Alonso managed to overtake the two Toyotas early in the race and close a gap with his rival. And when Schumacher's car broke down, Alonso seized the opportunity to win the race and clinch his second consecutive championship title, becoming the youngest driver to achieve this feat. However, Fernando Alonso's next season with McLaren in 2007 was marked by controversy and drama as tensions flared between him and rookie teammate Lewis Hamilton. The team struggled to handle a duo who were both fiercely competitive and wanted to be the team's #1 driver. The situation came to a head at the Hungarian Grand Prix, where Alonso and Hamilton both qualified in the front row. Alonso deliberately blocked Hamilton during pit stop, costing Hamilton valuable time and damaging their relationship beyond repair. This notorious incident led to a breakdown in Alonso's relationship with the team, and he was eventually fined and disqualified from the race. The fallout from the incident continued for the rest of the season, and Alonso eventually left the team at the end of the year. Following this tumultuous stint with McLaren in 2007, Alonso returned back to Renault in 2008. The move was seen as a way for Alonso to rebuild his reputation and get back to winning races. With 2 world championships already under his belt with Renault in 2005 and 2006, and many believe that he was capable of achieving the feat once again. Alonso had a successful season with Renault in 2008, finishing 5th in the championship and winning 2 races. However, the team struggled in the following years, and Alonso eventually decided to move to Ferrari for the 2010 season.
You feel the support from everybody. There is every single member of the team taking care of every detail, because we want to do well here in front of our fans, in front of so many people supporting Ferrari. So we did it. We're happy for that, but we don't want to stop here.
Alonso's move to Ferrari was a big deal, as the team was one of the most successful and prestigious in Formula One history. He was brought in to help revive the team's fortunes, which had been in decline since the departure of Michael Schumacher. In his first season with Ferrari, Alonso narrowly missed out on the World Championship, finishing just 4 points behind eventual winner Sebastian Vettel. However, he helped the team to win the Constructors' Championship and continued to be a key player for the team in the following years. Alonso's time at Ferrari was marked by some highs and lows, but he remained a fierce competitor and a fan favourite. He left the team at the end of the 2014 season to rejoin McLaren, but his time at Ferrari cemented his status as one of the greatest drivers in the history of the sport.
To win. This is our job and our destiny, hopefully.
Box now, box.
Formula One for everyone.
He pushed me off the track. I think you'll have to leave the space. and this has a massive impact in terms of the championship.
Alonso has gone spinning. Another championship contender fails to score points.
We see the problem. Sorry about that.
Fernando Alonso's stint at McLaren was marred by frustration and disappointment. In 2015, he battled a litany of reliability problems with the team's Honda engine, and it wasn't until the 9th race of the season that he finally earned any points. In 2016, he crashed in Melbourne and was kept out of round 2 due to concerns about his condition. Alonso peaked with 5th place finishes in Monaco and at the Circuit of the Americas, but he was more preoccupied with the state of the sport than his own performance. Things didn't improve much in 2017, as Alonso failed to finish any of the first 4 races of the season, and he shocked the world by announcing plans to race in the Indianapolis 500. But even that did not provide much relief from his F1 struggles. He returned to F1, but picked up only a few points finishes. In 2018, McLaren switched to Renault power, and Alonso began the season with renewed optimism, and a 5th place finish in Australia was a promising start, but only had 2 more points finishes for the rest of the year. Alonso also raced for Toyota in the World Endurance Championship, winning several races. It became increasingly clear that his time in F1 was coming to an end, and he eventually retired from F1 after the 2018 season. Heading into 2019, he began the year by winning the Daytona 24 Hours, as he returned to the Indy 500 with McLaren, but he did not actually make it to race day. After a week of electrical issues, team errors and a crash, his IndyCar return was capped off with not being fast enough to qualify for the race. In 2020, Alonso kicked off his racing year by participating in the Dakar Rally for Toyota. He secured an impressive 2nd place on the stage and finished 13th overall in the car class of the iconic rally raid. He also made a return to the Indy 500 and drove for the United Autosports team owned by McLaren CEO Zak Brown, alongside his fellow McLaren driver Lando Norris in the Daytona 24 Hours. After competing in the Dakar Rally, Alonso made a 3rd appearance at Indianapolis during the pandemic-disrupted 2020 season. As a 3rd driver in addition to McLaren's regular lineup of Pato O'Ward and Oliver Askew, Alonso had no concerns about failing to qualify this time around, and he started the race in 26th position, trailing his fellow team members. Despite this, he managed to cross the finish line in 21st place, marking his first completed race in this event. After a year of absence, Alonso returned to the grid in 2020. He signed again with Renault, which by that time changed the name to that of its sister company, Alpine. In his 2nd season with Alpine, Alonso got exactly the same number of points. Even though he didn't get any podiums, it was a better season for the team, as Alonso finished 9th in the points table and the team moved up to 4th in the results for teams as a whole. In a remarkable display of consistency, Alonso recorded points finishes in 10 consecutive races during the middle of the season. This feat had previously been achieved only by the top 3 drivers in the championship, and Alonso himself had not accomplished it since 2014. But Alpine's improving performance, which Alonso used to finish 5th at Silverstone, Spa and Interlagos, wasn't enough to convince him that the team was headed in the right direction to get him back to winning races. So he signed to join Aston Martin for 2023, as soon as a spot opened up on the team. Before we delve into the 2023 season and the future prospects of Alonso on the grid, let's explore his dynamic relationships with other drivers in the Formula One circuit. Alonso is widely respected as one of the most talented drivers in the history of F1, having won 2 world championships and achieved numerous race wins and podiums. In addition to his racing achievements, Alonso is also known for his charitable work, particularly through his own foundation, which supports disadvantaged children around the world. With the exception of Lewis Hamilton, whom he tied with in 2007, Alonso has outshone every teammate he's had, despite racing alongside some of the most talented drivers in the world. This has earned him the respect of his peers and is widely considered to be the best driver on the grid. In fact, if you were to ask any driver currently racing, at least half of them would tell you that Alonso is the undisputed king of the track. But what made Alonso even greater is the fact that he did not have a vastly superior car when he became world champion. He had to beat Schumacher in a Ferrari and Raikkonen in the McLaren Mercedes, and he did so in a Renault. Fernando is an intelligent, bare-knuckle fighter and has achieved some incredible feats. In an interview on the Beyond the Grid podcast, Fernando Alonso was asked if he felt that he had missed out on things in life due to his long and successful career in motorsports. He responded by saying that he believes he has missed out on some things, but he couldn't specify what exactly, or what it has cost him in his normal life. Alonso explained that being in the motorsports paddock since he was 19 years old, he has been away from his family and friends for most of his life, which may have resulted in losing some of them. He stated that when he started his journey as a go-kart driver, he was living a dream and aiming to become a Formula One driver. He was willing to sacrifice whatever it took to achieve that dream. But since he has not had a normal life since he was a child, he cannot define what it means to have a normal life. Thus, there is a mismatch between what he has experienced and what he perceives as a normal life. Alonso's ability to develop and fine-tune a car to his liking has also been a key factor in his success. He has a keen understanding of vehicle dynamics and is able to provide detailed feedback to his engineers and mechanics, allowing them to make the necessary adjustments to optimize the car's performance. Finally, Alonso's strategic approach to racing has helped him to consistently achieve strong results. He is a master at managing tyre wear, fuel consumption and race pace, and is able to make smart decisions during a race to maximize his chances of success. Now, returning to the present moment, let's discuss Alonso's current situation on the grid and his performances in the ongoing season. Alonso's signing with Aston Martin proved to be a significant coup for the team under Lawrence Stroll's leadership, as they have ambitious plans for the future. The green car has lived up to Fernando Alonso's high expectations this season, delivering impressive results. In fact, Alonso has now secured his third consecutive third-place podium finish, maintaining his flawless record in that position for the year 2023. This remarkable achievement is a testament to the genuine progress that Aston Martin has made this season, following their disappointing 7th-place finish in the previous year. In Bahrain, Alonso was 0.6 seconds off pole. In Saudi, that was down to 0.5 seconds. In Australia, he shaved another tenth off to 0.4 seconds. The near future for Aston Martin and Alonso himself is looking very bright. As you'd expect, Lawrence Stroll is pleased with the progress, but once more, Aston Martin is on course to do just that. Their state-of-the-art new factory will be up and running by May, with the wind tunnel on course to be operational in 2024. Their development team, under the leadership of Dan Fallows, is motoring along nicely, and in Alonso and Stroll, not only do they have the most experienced lineup in the field, but one that is operating at a high level. Suddenly, Lawrence Stroll's plans to be title contenders within 5 years, with this being year 3, isn't looking so out of reach anymore. Alonso's dedication and passion for the sport have inspired countless fans and cemented his place in motorsport history. But at the end of it all, and like every single person who ever straps themselves into a racing car, he's simply flesh and blood, fallible and breakable. But more than most, Alonso was someone with the world at his feet. He had the ability to be the greatest, possibly ever, but as time marched on, his mission became not one of expanding his legacy, but of repairing it, dealing every day with the mistakes he'd made, and trying to do something good to leave a positive impression to make up for the moments he wished he could take back. If we're hurting to see him go and wishing he'd have achieved all we knew he could, imagine what it must be to live behind the visor of one of the greatest enigmas our sport has ever, and likely will ever, know. Because if we know it, you can be damn sure he does too. Let us know your thoughts and opinions about Alonso. Do you think he is the greatest ever? We hope you enjoyed this in-depth look at the Spaniard's life. And as always, thank you for watching until the end.